Now, typically, when it comes to comic book runs, even the good ones, the most slippage is between the first issue and the second issue. Lucky for us, Scott Snyder still got a chef apron on because he is cooking. My name is Dorian. This is SCM Comics. We continue our coverage of Absolute Batman number 2. Our story starts off at the zoo where Bruce's dad just got finished putting him and all of his students in the bat exhibit. And Joe Chill put a few shots into Bruce's dad. He's slumped to the door. Bruce is saying, "Please, Dad, open the door." When we see one bat actually got out, he's behind Bruce. He's making whatever noise bats make. And all of a sudden he starts climbing up Bruce. And the rest of the bats break through the glass and start swarming on Bruce. Now, my question is, if this happened to you, how would you react? Please let me know in the comments. So now we cut to present day. Alfred is narrating. He's pretty much saying how the party animals have upped their frequency of attacks. Now, Bruce can't be everywhere. He shows up where the biggest attacks are going to happen, like at the aquarium. Now, Bruce is doing his thing, picking dudes up with one arm. He's pretty much beating the hell out of them. But you can also see that there's a lot of them, and he ain't perfect because he got 2 knives stuck in his back. He has a ninja star stuck in his cowl, like he's deflecting bullets. It's pretty crazy. And Alfred is saying how when he was with the special forces, that his commanders, like, you gotta know when to advance forward and when to retreat and regroup. In other words, AF, advance forward, RR, retreat and regroup. And Alfred's like, maybe now he might have to retreat and regroup. Party animals grab Bruce, put him against the glass of the aquarium, and he uses his cape. All these spikes come out, and he breaks the glass. Tons and tons of water come shooting out on the party animals. Bruce uses his cape, and he gets like above the water, and he's on the ceiling. All I was thinking to myself, like, man, you see them sharks in there? Woo! Lord have mercy. There might not be enough water for them to survive, but they'll be able to grab a few people, and there's going to be curtains for them. So the party animals are still talking noise like, "Oh, you got us wet." And then somebody else was like, "Can't stay up there forever." But Bruce just reaches into his utility belt, grabs a pellet, drops it into the water. It's like a concentrated version of vinegar, which mixed with salt water turns it into hydrochloric acid. That's your science experiment for today. Well, now the party animals are talking a different tune. They're like, "Oh, please, it burns." And one of them goes to the cops and is like, "Toes are gone." I was like, God. If I was a cop, I'd have been like, well, maybe you weren't going around killing people. Maybe you should be able to count to 20. What are you up to now? 11? 12? So Alfred's like, I don't know where all of his safe officers are at, but based off his movements, I kind of did a map of where they could be. And this dude's definitely on brand. As we look at the map, and it's a big old bat. Alfred pretty much says that Bruce is very regimented. He pretty much goes to work during the day. He beats people up at night. Rarely does he ever break his routine, even though there are rumors that he goes and meets with the Red Hood, which is some kind of group, which I can't wait to see their spin on that. But he did break his routine once. He went to Blackgate, and he visited Joe Chill, who was the person that shot his father. Now, Alfred said he couldn't hear what he said because it's only a visual surveillance, no audio, but he can imagine. So Alfred is also considering telling whoever's in charge of him that it's because of the Batman that he's getting such great intel, but he doesn't push back. Because if you remember back to the first issue, if you don't, link to the playlist will be in the description. Who's ever in charge wants Alfred to pretty much kill the Batman, which obviously Alfred doesn't want to do. Now, Alfred also knows who Black Mass is. Pretty much calls him by his last name. And he knows that he's smart, and eventually he finds out where Bruce's hideout is, just like Alfred did. And Alfred's like, I wonder if this is when he'll have to retreat and regroup. So as the party animals run up the stairs, all of a sudden there's a boom! And Bruce blew up all the top levels of the buildings. And then the party animals come running down like, oh my God. And then Alfred goes, nope. Batman is just an advance forward. Batman AF. You ain't lying. So now we cut to Jim Gordon, who's still in a hospital trying to recover. He's being visited by his daughter, and Commissioner Bullock. Still feels weird to say that. So Bullock is pretty much letting them know that he ordered more vehicles and more guns. And Mayor Gordon's like, that doesn't always equal winning. Commissioner Bullock's like, we gotta do something. So then Bullock pretty much starts bad-mouthing the Batman. At least we know some things don't change. And Barbara has to remind him, like, he saved your life, right? So then Bruce's mom stops by. She checks in on Barbara. And then Bullock and Barbara get a phone call because, the party animal's doing her thing. So they gotta go. And Bruce's mom and Mayor Gordon catch up. She opens up a window and she starts smoking in a hospital. And then she lets Mayor Gordon takes a few drags from her cigarette. He was trying to recover from gunshot wounds in a hospital. So Gordon asks about Bruce and how he's doing. And she's like, I don't really know. We hardly ever talk anymore. And I guess Gordon was the first cop on the scene at the zoo. And he found Bruce, barely found Bruce, because at first he didn't even see him under all those bats. But then finally, after I guess Bruce screamed, he was able to get the bats off. And she's pretty much like, after that experience, he was never the same. Like, never the same. His friends would come over and he would ignore them. He throws out the medals for a science fair out the window because first place prize was a trip to the zoo. So if he didn't come in first place, then he wouldn't have went to the zoo, he still would have a father, and he wouldn't have been covered in bats. But then in present day, he shows up to the poker game. And I guess he never shows up to the poker game because Killer Croc has to get up and take his picture. We're just going to call them by their villain name just to make things easier. But everybody here is a villain besides Bruce. Now, I don't know how he's going to do things, but pretty much if they go by their name and they live up to what they're normally going to be, you have the Riddler, Edward Nygma, you have Harvey Dent, Two-Face, you have Oswald Cobblepot, the Penguin, and you got Waylon Jones, Killer Croc. Now, even though Bruce showed up, there is one friend missing, and that's Selena Kyle, Catwoman, who is off in Cairo somewhere, doing Catwoman things, I guess. So the pot's up to 1700. The Riddler's actually at 1728, which is technically a cubic foot, showing his big brain. Penguin starts to mess with him, and Bruce flicks a poker chip at him. Now we see Two-Face has two pair, which is on brand. So he raises the pot, and he goes to see if Bruce wants to call. And Bruce does call, with a party animal mask, which he puts on the table. He put it on there because he knew it would intrigue the Riddler, and now the Riddler wants to kind of dive into it to find out more about it. He's also there to ask Ozzy if the party animals are attacking any of the crime bosses, which Ozzy confirms that no, they're pretty much just sticking to destroying the city. Now on the table, there was two aces, and Harvey flips and goes, I got two pair, and Bruce flips and goes, I got three aces, four if you count the Joker, which they say, no, we do not count the Joker. But pretty much Bruce wins the pot. But Bruce also finds out some information about the former mayor, who is corrupt as hell, and Harvey says that he has a file called the Golden Chest, but nobody knows what's in that file. So Bruce does his Batman thing and finds out. So as he's breaking into the mayor's office and he gets on his computer, he finds a file, but all of a sudden, Black Mask pops up on the screen. It was like, hello there. I'm glad we could finally meet. Now, I might be wrong, but I think this confirms that the former mayor is in league with Black Mask, so that Black Mask can cause all kinds of trouble and he can get reelected. Just pretty crazy. So Black Mask pretty much lets Bruce know that, hey, the cops are surrounding the building. My people are surrounding the building. If you get out, I expect a phone call. And as soon as he said that, a bazooka gets shot right at Batman. You see an explosion that happens in the building, and I'm just getting Die Hard vibes. I get more Die Hard vibes after Batman beats a dude up for missing, and then he opens up the elevator shaft and then goes down, and I'm like, whew. The only thing we're missing is a naked woman's picture that he passes by, and he puts his hand on it to acknowledge it. So he goes down, he lands. All of a sudden, Alfred's waiting on him, and he's like, look, I'm not here to fight. I just want to talk. And Batman's like, you got 30 seconds. So Alfred's like, look, I got a car stashed away, and we can get to it, unless you have one. All of a sudden, Bruce hits the gas. Alfred goes flying back, and Bruce is like, you're standing in it. And then we see this dude driving the best Batmobile I have ever seen. He pretty much converted a 797 dump truck into the Batmobile. At this point, I'm pretty much saying to myself, yippee-ki-yay, mother. In the Ultimate Universe, John McClane is pretty much Batman. But on the last page, we do a flashback to when he threw out his medal. Selena found it and was like, "Get up. You're coming with me," with her cat-eared hoodie. Again, on brand.